In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw accurately using some sighting and measuring techniques, and I'll demonstrate this on a shoe. Now, what you want to start out with first is just drawing a quick gesture sketch showing some of the detail of the shoe and some contour lines. So I'm going to do that just by looking at the shoe. I'm going to focus on looking more at the shoe than at my paper. And I'm just going to start mapping out where some of the details are and the angles of the shoe. This can be a quick sketch because we'll be measuring, making sure things line up a little bit later. Don't get too hung up on details, but I'm just going to look at some of the main details of the shoe. I'm not going to worry too much about the laces right now. After you draw a gesture sketch of your shoe, you want to apply some sighting and measuring techniques. The first one I'm going to show you is finding the midpoint of your subject. So in this case, what I'm going to do is look at the length of my shoe, holding my pencil out with a straight arm, and I can see that it is about the length of my pencil. And then I can find the middle of my pencil, which is about right here. So the middle of my shoe comes right at the first eyelet of the lace. It's about the midpoint. So what I'll do is look at my drawing and see if that's the case with my drawing. Is the midpoint of my shoe at the middle? If you want, you can use a ruler and measure. My drawing is about 8.5 inches, so the midpoint should be about 4.25. So that means I need to shift this down a little bit and move the detail of my shoe just a bit. So this is where that eyelet, the first eyelet hole should go. The next thing I can do, once I find the center of my shoe, I can measure and compare different shapes on the shoe. For example, I can look at the opening of the shoe and compare it to the length of the shoe. So if I hold up my pencil, I'm going to match the tip of my pencil with the one end of the shape right here. And my thumb is going to mark the end of the opening. So here's the opening of the shoe. I'm going to see how many times it fits into the length of the shoe. So this is 1, 2. It's almost 3 times, a little less than 3, probably 2 3/4. So if I go here to my drawing and I measure the length, this is 1, 2. It's about 2.5. So that means the opening of my shoe is too big and the front is too skinny or too short. So to fix that, what I'll do is I will extend the length of my shoe a little bit. Erase this. Before I draw any details, I'm just going to try to sketch it out where the point is. Look at my drawing again. I'm going to remeasure. 1. This should fit 2 3/4 or just under 3 times. 1, 2. That's a little bit closer. So I just needed to extend the front. That's about almost 2 3/4. I'll make it a little bit longer. Now that looks a little bit more proportional. Before, the front looked a little bit too short. So I'll erase that and adjust it. So that's one measurement you can do on the shoe, is the opening compared to the length. The next measurement I'm going to double check is the height of the shoe at the tallest part compared to the length of the shoe. I'm going to just focus on the top of the shoe, not the tongue. I'm going to lock my elbow again. Keep it locked always when you're measuring the shoe itself. This is one measurement. I'm going to turn my pencil. 1, 2, about 2.5, almost 2 3/4, just like the opening compared. So I know that the height of my shoe should fit about 2 3/4 into the length. So I can use my pencil or a ruler, measure. This is the height of 1. It fits 1, 2, 2 and about 3/4. So that's a pretty good height for the height of this part of the shoe. One other measurement I'm going to test is, because I'm thinking, just looking at this looks a little bit tall from my perspective. So I'm going to measure the height of this opening compared to the height of what's underneath. So if I measure this 1, it fits 1, 2 times, just about 2 times, into this part of the shoe. So on my drawing, let's see, from here to here, should fit 2 times into the rest. 1, 1, 2. Take a look, it's a little bit longer. So that means I need to raise this up a little bit. And I'm going to remeasure. 1. It should fit 2 times. 1, 2. That is much better. So I just raised that side up a little bit. I'm going to go back, draw a little bit more from life, just looking at the detail of my shoe. And this is where I can even measure this length here where the stitching comes. I can measure this part, how it curves up and down. And I have this little curve here, the fold in the shoe. And then I have the stitching that I'll add as well. And this side in here, to show the curve of the shoe, and then I could even draw the polka dots inside. When you're drawing the detail, make sure you're really paying attention to where the detail is and how it looks when you're drawing. And always double check your measurements. I can also measure angles. I can measure the angle of this top part of the shoe. Hold my pencil to match the angle. Go to my paper, place the pencil down to make sure it matches. So then I can adjust that angle. It looked pretty good, to make sure it matches the angle of the shoe. Can go back. I could measure, if you have tennis shoes, you might find even on this shoe, it's not straight up and down. The heel is not straight up and down. It angles in a little bit. So hold your pencil up, match that angle, and put it down on the paper. I have it pretty much vertical. So I need to adjust that just by bringing in the top and bringing out the bottom a little bit and erasing. If you start out with a rougher sketch, it's a lot easier to adjust it and erase mistakes that you have. So take time to draw lightly so that you can erase your mistakes. Now I'll double check this angle. That's a lot better. Apply these sighting and measuring techniques by checking the angles and also comparing different sizes of parts of your object compared to other parts of your drawing to make sure you draw accurately.